Welcome back to MCOC AlBundyRules. I got a walkthrough for you of the brand new Book 2, Act 7, Chapter 3, Quest 1. So 7.3.1. Going to take you for what I perceive as an easy path. Mutant Mastery. Mutant attack applies a debuff, 40% chance to gain indefinite prowess. Special attack increased by 30%, increases by 20% for each debuff on the defender. These prowess buffs are removed after the attacker finishes a special. So debuff heavy mutant champs are going to be beneficial. Endurance trial. Defender reduces all incoming damage by 100%. It's reduced by 25% for each debuff on the defender. So again, we need these mutants up to 0% max. Pause during specials. We need to get debuffs with mutants. Then looking at persistent pressure defenders under the effect of Unstoppable become stun immune. This includes unstoppable effects triggered outside this node. Every 15 seconds, defender gains unstoppable buff for 5 seconds. Duration of this buff is reduced for half a second for each prowess or passive the attacker has. Therefore, the more prowess you have from getting the debuffs, the less the unstoppable. Here's some basic things. Paradox, I don't believe is going to be an effect on this path, but it's something that you'll see in other paths throughout. Chapter 7.3, I believe, Adrenaline Rush. It gains 100% damage reduction. This is something we saw in 7.2 as well, based on the adrenaline based on being struck. Holy Line and Star Power. These are items we have seen in previous chapters of Act 7. So a big thing for going this way, we want mutants. And somebody recently asked me, how do I pick what champs I'm going to use on new content such as this? I take a quick peek. So before you see my team selection, I look in first. I see, okay, I look at the nodes, I look at the path, and I'm like, who's going to be good for this? And then I dissect it. Looking at the nodes for this path, I went ahead and realized, okay, obviously mutants, because mutants get a major benefit here. I then saw that I had major benefit for mutants that do debuffs. So I want mutants that can do debuffs very easily, very quickly, and sustain them, because the more debuffs I get on them with the mutants, the more prowess I get. The more prowess I get, obviously, the higher special damage attacks I'll do when I build them up, but also the easier the fight's going to be, because when I have the prowess up and they get the unstoppable will go away quicker based on the more prowess I have. So when I saw the path, when I saw the nodes, I'm like, okay, I want mutants that get lots and lots of easy debuffs. And first one who always comes to mind for these kind of things, not only what he does, but what he can bring to the team, especially on debuffs, is Apocalypse. So once I saw this path, I'm like, Apocalypse automatically is coming with me. No ifs, ands, or buts. When we already see all the debuffs, I got 4 debuffs on the Falcon right there, which is going to make things easy. Plus, I can keep getting those debuffs with the bleed. In order to, when I started off the fight, I did a lot of heavy parries, which isn't normally a way I would use APOC, but I did this because I needed debuffs on the defender. So getting all those heavy attack bleeds on them got me a lot of debuffs to help control the fight early, while I worked up the specials to get my special 1s and special 2s right there. And the strategy worked very well, I believe. But he's also going to help a lot on his team synergy for some of my teammates I got. Like we're going to see as we go, and I'll make sure to use all of these champs in for at least one fight so I could explain why I brought him along the way. Cable is probably very self-explanatory when you see APOCs. If you see Apocalypse in my team, you're pretty much always going to see Cable as well, because they go together like love and marriage, as the old fun TV show theme song once said. Love and marriage, right? Therefore, so we got Cable right on over here. He's just going to parry heavy. I mean, Cable's pretty much designed for this node with the Apocalypse synergy. Parry heavy. Just watch out for those unstoppables. But you see when I had all those debuffs and then the prowess on the Hulk, how quickly away that unstoppable went. So you see the correlation on how everything intertwines. But all I'm going to really do is keep doing these, and I throw an S2, and with all those prowess, look at that S2. Dang, that was like almost 200,000 damage on the S2 with all that prowess. So Cable just absolutely annihilated that Hulk. Pretty high health pool Hulk. It was 18 hits, I think. So yeah. Sometimes people say, oh, Cable's overrated, or Cable's this or that. Yeah, 18 hits, dude. 18 hits. Yeah, call that overrated. Let's go check out Archangel. My undo, probably my most wanted dupe and or champ pull in the game right now would be to get another Archangel or a Mutant Awakening gem to awaken him. I want him so bad. I've got a T5C just waiting to R3 him, but I've been trying to wait until I dupe him before I go to R3 on him. Eventually I will get that awaken or dupe and I will be ecstatic, but in the meantime he can still hold his own, right? I figured I don't want to use him very much because I have been just hoping to hold it out for the awaken. However, I'm like, you know what, he's too perfect for this node. He can just parry heavy, get all those debuffs on, going to get those prowess up, going to get the bleed, neurotox. I mean, he's just another champ, kind of like Cable with the Apocalypse energy, just made for this path. If you got an Archangel, he will just parry heavy his way all the way through this stuff. And therefore we will see my strategy and thought process along the way, how this is working. I'm trying to mix up my champs I'm using, just in case you don't got one. I want you to see that pretty much all of these champs should work as I'm trying them out myself. I'm not 100% sure. In theory, in my head, all the champs I picked should work pretty well for these paths and nodes. Could I be wrong? Heck yeah, I've been wrong in the past, let me tell you. I decided to activate the Horseman Apocalypse. I was debating with myself if I was just going to not even activate it at all, but I like Storm. This is only an R4 5-star Storm, by the way. This one I'm probably going to have to R5 at some point in the near future, because I figured she would be absolutely dynamite for this path, and I'm hoping to be proven right because of all these shocks. What I'm going to do is get an S1 on him, get shock, and then just start doing heavies. With the pre-fight, we see those shocks going up. I need to bait out this S2, beta that out. So with this, I'm going to try to keep getting these heavies. I had to get rid of that Unstoppable. I see the shocks getting ready to expire, but I got the parry heavy in just in time. And you saw those prowess. As those shocks go up, those prowess are going up. And Storm is pretty well known for some pretty strong, especially for an OG champ, some pretty strong special damage. If I can get these prowess up, do some specials, maybe an S2 or something, all these shocks, it should get pretty lightning shocking, right? And there we go. And I was actually expecting better from that special with all those prowess. However, no biggie. And in hindsight, I probably should have waited the special after the Unstoppable went, because the more prowess, the quicker the Unstoppable goes. However, like I said, this R4 5-star Storm looking pretty damn sharp with that Apox Horseman, right? So you got a Storm, an oldie but a goodie, an OG champ who on herself ain't too good, absolutely dominating here. So I'd recommend taking a look at that one if you got her. Next up, we got Aegon going on. Decided just to go ahead and use the rest of my team. Let's bring in Namor. The main reason I brought in Namor for this fight is because it was, I think it's the 60% chance to bleed on his mediums. I actually haven't used Namor in ages. I usually use him for like those electro fights, stuff like that. Use him as a niche, as needed. He's very good at what he does, but I don't always need him. So I haven't used him in a while, so it might be a little rusty on him. I do love to be able to spam his S3s, but it has kind of an acquired feel. It's been a minute since I've done it, so hopefully I'm not too rusty with Namor, because I can't even remember the last time I've used him other than maybe 1 or 2 fights here and there. But he is still a good champ to have on your roster and ranked up. I'm getting those outrages up, and I'm going to try to do some S3 spamming, but there's going to be more to it here because I have to get those debuffs up with the bleeds as I get the prowess up. Easiest way to get those bleeds up or with those medium attacks, so you will see me do medium, medium, and medium, light, medium as I'm trying to get the prowess up. I'm by getting the debuffs up. Need to keep those debuffs up. I saw an opening on the S3, although my timing was a bit off. I was getting a little wrapped up on too many timers, too many little doohickeys and this and that, paying attention to, so I'll get a little distracted. But we'll see how this works there. We got that S3, and then was trying to get how my timing was absolutely atrocious there. And what's going on with this like super blue Aegon arm lately? It like, I don't remember that. When did that animation come in? Is it intentional? And then I just did some specials, so without any debuffs on him, and he saw 0 damage. That was very sloppy. I got a little anxious, a little ahead of myself there, and I just missed a golden opportunity to do some massive damage. So I'm gonna take a step back, kind of wait, rebuild back up, and try to redeem that little sloppiness I just did right there. Because that was just some poor Nammer play, any way you slice it. But I can do a little better with him, I'm sure. Let's see. And my other champs have been doing great, doing much better. So probably don't absolutely need Nammer, but however, I got him here, I'm using them, so let's try to get the most out of them. And I'm trying to keep bleeds. I got 3 bleed debuffs, 4 bleeds. I'm trying to keep those up. I am looking at my outrages, right over outage, whatever the heck. Yeah, outrage. I'm outraged. Got 16 of them, but I got 22 prowess. I'm going to try to get myself up to an S3, trying to keep bleed debuffs. Going to be some timing coming up. Going to try to be careful on how I time this, because I want to be able to spam a few. At least 3 S3 would be my ideal goal. Going to have to bait out this S2. I'm seeing I'm at 26 outrages. I need to bait this out. 27. I need to get some bleed debuffs. I only was able to get 1 bleed debuff on before I did my S3. Not what I wanted, because this is going to be some seriously reduced damage. But let's still see what Mr. Nammer can do around here. And each time I see Nammer now, I want to start screaming Mr. Nimbus. For any Rick and Morty fans know what I'm talking about. Mr. Nimbus seems to start singing and dancing. Give Nammer another S3. I'm Mr. Nimbus. And see that super blue arm going on right there, doing whatever it's doing. Looks like it's got some toxic waste dumped on his arm. And go ahead and knock out another S3. So if I counting correctly, I get a little distracted in my rants and tangents. I think this was my 3rd spammed S3 in a row, which is pretty much what I was aiming for. If I could have got some more debuffs up first, that would have been ideal. But we take what we get, and I don't have any debuffs up anymore right now anyway, and I just kind of just did some little useless nonsense there just for fun, I guess, and wait out for that unstoppable to go. So got a decent amount of damage. I could have got way more had I timed that better with that first S3 with some more bleed debuffs. Just trying to time around the unstoppables and the power and the outrages and all power gain, all that stuff can be a little tricky here. So Nammer does work for these fights if you got him, but he is a little bit more of a headache to use here than the other champs we've seen myself use on this path thus far. So keep that in mind. Now here's Mr. Negative. Such a negative name. Can he be Mr. Positive? Maybe Mr. Positive is his evil twin brother, or good twin brother. I don't even know if Negative's a villain or a good guy. Anyway, so I have not fought Mr. Negative in ages. I don't remember what he does. I remember he does inverted controls, but I don't remember when. But I'm sure I'll figure that out in the near future. Oop. Well, that little shiny thing's been using inverted controls, I think. Oh yeah, the little head concussion thingy. So I need to remember this. So it looks like when I'm knocking Mr. Negative down, I'm getting my inverted controls. I had completely forgot about this, so I have not been doing too well in this fight thus far. I just wasn't. This was more of my filler. I kind of brought Archangel into this fight specifically because I figured if I lost him, I wouldn't mind too much at this point. And I just want to get a feel for Mr. Negative. I haven't fought Mr. Negative in quite a while, so I'm just going to get as much damage as I can on him as I completely mess it up. I think I'm down under half. Had I been a little more fresher in my head on Mr. Negative and realizing what was causing inverted controls the heavies quicker, probably would have done better there. I probably made that fight look harder than it needed to be. But let's bring in Cable. And so these parry heavy champs are great, but I got intercepted. I try to rush in there and trying to slow down. Now we got the Unstoppable. The Unstoppable went away. Get as much damage as I can right here. If I lose my Cable, I'm not going to be overly upset, but I do need to get at least a respectable amount of damage off trying to be careful, watching for the unstoppable right there, watching for the inverted controls, watching for the knockdowns. A lot going on. I'm not doing too well in this fight, so I'm just get as much damage as I can at the end. I figured a nice high prowess S2. I thought that was going to finish him off just short. But the good news is Mr. Negative's almost out, and this is, I think, the last fight of the path, if I remember correctly. So let's bring in Mr. Nimbus, or Namor, I guess, to finish this fight off. Get those bleeds going. I probably should have brought in Mcoc just to get him an easy little charge here, but wasn't thinking about it when I just brought in Namor. Figured I'd bring in Namor in case I lost anybody else. I didn't want to risk losing Mcoc because I might need him for the boss fight. Not too sure what to expect with this Red Goblin. That's another champ I haven't fought in a while. The problem with so many champs in the game right now is you get forgetful on who's what. So we see Burnout, Defender activate special attack. They gain Burnout charge, increasing special by 10% per charge. Defender has 10 or more. 10 are removed. 10 removed, defender's passive power lock for 10 seconds. When an attacker activates dexterity for any of the defender's specials attacks, the defender gains an additional burn. So watch out for burnouts. We see unlimited power. Each debuff the defender has suffered since the start. Every 10 seconds, they activate a permanent fury. So debuffs are going to cause furies, increase attack by 25%. If they are nullified or removed for any way, they're going to gain power, max power for each 15%. So if you try to nullify them, you're going to get some massive power issues to deal with in time to strike. When the defender would gain power or health while under the effects of a heal block or power lock, they are instead inflicted with a non-stacking passivity again, dealing 100%. So if I could get some power lock going on here, this could be good. I got to be careful. Debuffs can become counterproductive here. We can give them some major power strikes, especially if I try to nullify the power gain. So a lot going on. Be careful. There's going to be lots of furies probably on here. You're going to have to get a little feel. I have an idea in my head based on those notes that I think should work, but I'm not 100%. So I'm going to go to somebody you normally don't think of as a boss killer, but if you watch my channel, you know I'm a big fan of her. So I'm going to bring in my Psylocke. I already have Mcoc going on, so I don't need the pre-fight, although the pre-fight she would even be way more amazing. But just with the synergy alone, she should do what I need her to do. I believe she should be a good fit for this fight. My biggest concern, though, is trying to remember how to buy Red Goblin. Too many champs these days, too many encyclopedia definitions, too many everything on all this. Trying to memorize, I get a little forgetful. I do remember his S1 is the one I want to dex though. And I'm going to do some attacks on him. My goal is to get a power lock on him. I believe I can power lock him. I don't think he has passive power gains automatically. Even if he does, I can work around it. So we see the burnouts, we see the furies. Be careful of that. Those furies are going to start stacking. I'm backing off. I need to bait out this S1, then I can permanent power lock him. Easy dexed. Go in for the permanent power lock. There we go. Once I got on permanent power lock, as long as I don't make a silly mistake, I should be in pretty good shape. And I just ran into the heavy. I forgot the heavy. I got his heavy mixed up with Green Goblins. I didn't expect that extra boom. If I didn't make that mistake there, I bet I could have soloed him. Of course, that's easy to say when I'm about to lose my Psylocke, but I believe she would work. I'm going to revisit this fight at a later time with her because I highly believe if I didn't make that dumb mistake getting my heavy mixed up, then I had him exactly where I want him. So I do have the power lock again. The only problem, he's mine. He's in my position. I'm in the high ground. The only problem is I'm down at 3%. So there's not much I can do right here. So I'm just going to do a heavy, get a good damage. I got almost a 40,000 heavy there. I got the less S2 and just boom. If I had not ran into the second part of the heavy by getting confused between him and Green Goblin's heavies, I would have been good. But let's bring in Mcoc. He is someone I didn't want to risk losing previously. I mentioned because I figured I might be able to use him for the boss fight. He was really how I was looking as my backup here. If my Psylocke didn't work out, which I believe she would have worked out, but I do blame myself on a sloppy mistake. So I'm going to try to be more careful. I got a lot of health. I've still got 63% health Red Goblin. I have to be careful on those burnout charges. They're going to get a lot of fury, so I'm going to try to keep an eye on that. Going to try to, we see I'm already starting to take some pretty good block damage. I can only handle so much of that. I'm going to try to minimize too much parry. I'm going to try to do as much as I can punish after specials and or intercepts to avoid that, because I'm going to need to have to take some recoil damage. I can't take much more block damage because of the fact I'm going to have to, I want to use my specials I'm not going to try to lock in my debuffs based on the fact he's already got 15 parries, and I don't really want to risk doing parry heavies right now because I am afraid that is going to take a significant amount of damage. It's just a lot of furies he's got. Knock out that S1, otherwise normally I would try to lock those in. Oop, you see taking some damage on the block as I had a poorly timed dext. Get up on in there, bait out that S1. I'm trying to be careful on the S1. I don't really remember Red Goblin's S200%, but I do remember it's more complicated to dex than his very, very easy to dex S1. I don't really want to risk making any mistakes. I've only have one champ left after Apocalypse, so if I make any mistakes, it's going to go down to the wire. So I'd rather just finish this file with Apocalypse, or at least get Red Goblin down to as much health down as humanly possible. So I'm going to try to play safe down to 33%. Getting up in there. Trying to be careful, trying to bait out that S1. He's got 46 Furies, so be careful on those Furies. And remember, if he did something to take away the 54 Furies, if he did something to take away those Furies, it would be massive power gain. It was, I forget the percentage, but I have to assume that would be an automatic S3 if you were trying to work on like nullify or take away. So I was thinking about Dr. Voodoo here, because I'm like, ooh, 62 Furies and turn into poisons. Oh yeah, baby, that would be nice. But at the same time, that would be an automatic S3, I would assume, which would be an automatic KO. That is the only reason I didn't bring Dr. Voodoo, because that was my first thought here. And there we go. Apocalypse is doing what I needed him to do. And if I had come in here and played this way for the beginning of the fight and started with 100, I believe Apox could have soloed this Red Goblin fairly easy with the strategy I started doing as I got a feel for towards the end. So I believe either Psylocke with the Synergy, even the Horsemen, or Apoc could either, I believe either one could solo them with some decent be careful play, especially if those Furies get up. But that's the first one. So in the book 2, Act 7, Chapter 3, Quest 1. Ooh, that's a lot of numbers right there. In the books, nice simple walkthrough, not too bad. I'm hoping this helps you. Keep in mind, I'll have walkthroughs for all the different quests for 7.3, as I have for other Act 7 content as well. Don't forget to click the top left icon, subscribe to Mcoc AlBundyRules, make sure those notifications on, be the first to see the new content. Check my playlist. I got a little something for everyone. Thanks for watching.